Hey Mama, welcome back to the Sit Down with Mama V. I'm Vicky, and today we are getting real. We are getting real about this guilt. The kind that creeps in when you want 5 minutes to yourself. The kind of guilt that creeps in when there's a mountain of dishes behind you and your baby is crying and you just don't want to do anything. The kind that makes you question if you're doing enough, even when you're doing everything. I felt it, I still feel it, but today we're naming it. We're unpacking it, and we're letting go of the things that we don't need. Because mom guilt is real, and so are we. We're humans. We're going to feel guilty. But it again doesn't make us a bad mom. So grab your tea or your coffee or your water, or if it's after 5 p.m. somewhere, right? Let's sit down and talk about it. So there's many of us that can feel this mom guilt, right? If you're a working mom, if you're a stay-at-home mom, if you're a working and you have to come home to your babies, all that is real. So, some examples of some guilt that I feel sometimes is the screen time guilt. Oh my lordy. When I'm busy, she has to, I have no other choice but to let her use the pad. And maybe this is something that I go through, but maybe it's something that you go through as well. The screen time. I work from home, right? And for my oldest, there's sometimes that the sitter doesn't come through, and what do I have to do? I After she's done with her homework and she showed me her homework, guess what? She's going to be either on the TV or on the iPad playing her games. And I feel guilty because I have to work and there's nothing else that I can do, especially if I need to focus on my job. Now I'm trying, I know she's okay, but I feel guilty. I'm like, damn, like I have to be working here and I can't really play with her, attend to her. I always ask myself, like, am I doing her a disservice for on the screen time? And yes, I can give her a limit. Hey, okay, you have 5 more minutes on the screen, but then she wants to play. And if she doesn't have somebody to play with, then guess what? She's going to resort to that screen time. And that's what makes me feel guilty. Also, the self care guilt, right? Sometimes I want to just break away. Let me go ahead and go do my nails, or let me go ahead and go hang out with my friends just to clear my mind of just being with the babies and working, because I do work, and then I also, after I finish work, I have to go straight to, she's right there in the next room. Now I have somebody to help me throughout the day, but right, I still feel this, oh no, like I'm not doing enough, or oh no, like I'm not spending time with her. Is this going to mess with our bonds that we have going on, right? Especially with the baby. I know that in Germany they get more than a year, or about a year off from work, which is wonderful, right? Babies do need that bond. Babies do need that type of commitment from their parent, because that's what we are. We are their survival guide, right? Unfortunately, in the United States, we only get a few months, maybe a couple of weeks, right? So I was grateful that I did have some maternity leave, but guess what? After that maternity leave was over, I had to go straight back to work. I wasn't there for my baby as much as I was for my first baby. At 8 months, I started to work again. I and the reason why I started to work was because opportunity that I was looking forward to, because it had great benefits. I was with the NYPD Communications Department. And those hours alone are crazy hours. You don't know what schedule they're going to give you initially. So I ended up having to put her in daycare. I ended up getting the nighttime shift, which was midnight. And that was okay because I said, okay, great. She'll be asleep. She'll be with her dad at the time. And it did work out, but it was exhausting for me, right? Because I said, okay, I'm going to go ahead and work at nighttime, be with the baby during the daytime and then, sleep halfway or sleep when she's sleeping. And thank goodness that she was such a good baby that she would let me sleep while she sleeps. She slept for longer periods of time compared to my second. So that was really helpful. But then, sometimes we would have doubles, right? So from midnight to in the morning time until 3 p.m. in the afternoon. It was insane hours. And then I had to put her in daycare. Another guilt that I felt because I couldn't be there with her. But I said at the time, I knew that I went to daycare. My sisters went to daycare. So it shouldn't be that bad, right? And it wasn't, but it wasn't enough. Like the daycare expenses was extreme, extreme, extreme. And what I was making, it wasn't enough to pay for rent, um, and also pay for daycare. Like it was just too much. So we ended up finding a sitter who is still currently with me for my second. She is amazing and she has helped me throughout this whole time of helping me with my babies. So she eventually stepped in. She helped me with my first baby, and I couldn't have been more grateful. Still feeling guilty though, because I didn't get to spend that much time with my daughter. And now going into my second, thank goodness that I work from home and it is beneficial, but I had to go back within almost 90 days. No, I'm lying, 60 days. So 60 days I had maternity leave and I was there. It was wonderful that I was with her. However, even though that she's in a couple rooms down, I still miss her, right? And I'm sure she still misses me. And it's just that disconnect. And working is providing for our babies. This is just something that I've gone through that what's made me feel guilty that I can't just spend time with my baby all day. Oh, and another thing, when I was on maternity leave, I felt like I was doing so much. Like I wasn't resting and relaxing because I just had so many appointments and I said, let me get things done since, I'm off from work and I get to spend time with my other daughter as well. We have a little break. It was just too stressful that, again, I needed a break, but I couldn't have it because guess what? My baby needs me. And then also my other daughter, I can't have her feel neglected because we have another baby. So those are things that I have gone through as a working mom, right? And also staying at home as a mom, right? It was a lot, but you know, I don't know how it is to be a full blown stay at home mom. And I'm sure it's a lot because if I only had a couple of months of just handling the baby, those dishes did, like, I felt like the house was never clean. And I would try to clean up the house very quickly, but also, again, my second baby was very needy. With my first baby, she wasn't too bad, but I don't recall too much of those experiences of was I stressed out, was I not? I feel like it was a different experience compared to now. Like with my second, she's very needy. It makes things harder. Like I can't move or like she's not napping long enough unless I'm really there with her, like on the chest or holding her. And again, remember we just talked about last time having babies, held too much and I'm sorry. I had to hold her. I had to hold her. I wanted her to rest because guess what? Babies need rest. And if she's not going to rest by herself, guess what? She's going to rest with her mommy. Sorry. Now, also, let's talk about the self care guilt, right? If I want to go ahead and do my makeup, okay, I couldn't, right? Because First, I haven't washed my brushes, my makeup brushes, in a long time. Plus, that's time consuming. Have you guys ever needed to wash all of your brushes? Okay, that is a lot of work. And then you gotta wait for them to dry. And it's not just like, oh, I'm gonna wash them. You gotta be scrubbing in there and and squeezing and scrubbing and squeezing. Okay, maybe I'm exaggerating, but to me it was a lot of work. Okay, I'll be like, oh, I'll get to it, I'll get to it, and then the next day and then the next week, and I'm just like, I'm not gonna do my makeup. Like literally this week I just washed my brushes again because I was like, all right, I'm breaking out, and I think it's because of my brushes. So also, let's say if I wanted to go ahead and spend time with my friends, right? My first, who is almost 8 years old, she, when I tell her, hey, like I'm gonna go out with my friends, just to let her know, and she starts getting upset. She's like, no, mommy, I don't want you to go. And I'm like, I'm sorry, honey, like now I feel guilty because I want to go out and hang out. And my daughter is like, no, I don't want you to, which makes me sad because I'm like, uh, now I'm torn. I don't want to leave her, but like I'm going to leave her. So that's another guilt that I felt. Another guilt is with my partner, right? Like I want the home to be nice for him when he comes home. And sometimes it's not pleasant. Like the dishes are all racked up. They are here, you're tired, you're like I just don't want to do anything, I'm sorry, like no sexy time, sorry. Or like let's watch a show and we can watch the show together, and then I'll fall asleep, or I'm just not interested, I'm just like scrolling, just kind of having time for myself. I do tell him like, hey babe, sorry, I'm just not in the mood. um and he'll understand, right? Because I'm just going through a lot, also all these hormones that are going through our bodies. Having time for your partner and you is very important, but sometimes you just need that break. And again, you feel guilty about not being there for every single person that needs you in your home, right? But that doesn't mean, again, that you're broken. That just means that you're being real with yourself. Like these are things that are natural. A mom can get stressed out, and that's okay. It still doesn't make you a bad mom, right? You're a great mom. We are great parents. We just go through a lot. Us, again, women, we have hormones. Hormones are here, hormones are there. You know, it's a lot. And we just need to regulate that. Okay, we need to be honest, and we need to say, okay, we're human. If we're human, then we can have these type of feelings. Sometimes also, like when I'm stressed out, I start like getting agitated and yelling. It could be yelling at like, my first daughter, which I feel extra guilty about. But this is one thing that I've always done, is always acknowledging that I'm wrong and apologizing to her. Like, I really strongly believe that children need apologies in their life, especially when you're wrong, right? Sometimes we want our children to apologize to us about things. This is really a touchy subject because I feel like my mom never apologized for something when she was wrong. She never acknowledged, hey, like, I'm sorry, I was wrong. It would always just be like ignore it. Hey, like, do you want some ice cream or do you want something? And I'm like, of course I want it. But and then I didn't realize it as a child. Hey, I'm not getting anything, like an apology. Growing up is when I realized, apologies are important. And there was this instant where I said, hey mom, like I need an apology about like certain things that we've gone through. And she's just like, no, I'm not apologizing for it. And that hurt me. It hurts when you don't get an apology, and that's something that's needed, right? So bringing that back in, I knew that always when I'm wrong, I will always apologize to my daughter. So let's say I've screamed at my daughter today. guess what? Later on, I'm gonna apologize to her. Like, I'm sorry, honey, I was frustrated. And I make it a joke a little bit, but I do apologize because I know that it's important. Just like how I want my daughter to apologize to me when she does something wrong, right? Now, we're acknowledging what we're doing wrong, and we have to be graceful to ourselves. Us as moms, we go through a lot. Again, we're stressed out sometimes, and sometimes we're still learning how to deal with that, like myself, right? I am learning how to be a better parent, be more patient, and it's not going to happen overnight. But it's something that I can really keep in the back of my head and say, hey, I'm going to continue to work on this and I'm going to continue to try and be patient. Good thing I walked away and didn't raise my voice, right? These are things that I'm working on. And I'm grateful that I have a daughter. She's patient with me, just like I'm trying to be patient with her. It's something that we just have to give each other grace for. Now, another thing that I do, again, I try to breathe. Like, if everybody's screaming, my daughter wants this, my daughter wants that, I'm like the deep breaths come in. Or let's say I ask my daughter, hey, do you want breakfast? She's like, no, I don't want breakfast. As soon as I sit down, she's like, oh, I want breakfast. And I'm like, girl, you're going to have to wait now because I just asked you if you wanted breakfast and you said no. Now it's time for me to eat because guess what happens? If I don't eat, I'm going to be hungry. So let's take a pause, everyone. Children, let's take a pause and let mommy eat. As soon as mama's done eating, I will work on your food, right? And that's why I tell her, I'm like, listen, you might not be hungry now, but are you sure you're not hungry? Because guess what? Mommy's going to work on her stuff and I can't be distracted. And that's okay. Telling your children, hey, you need 5 minutes, that's okay. We need 5 minutes sometimes, 2 minutes, whatever. Just don't make it 3 days because then what's going to happen? Our children will starve. What's one thing you feel guilty of that you can release today? Please DM me or comment on what you feel guilty of. Share this episode with someone that you feel that can relate. A mom, a caregiver, a nanny, an auntie. And next week, let's talk about reclaiming our identity as a person besides a mom. Until next time, bye.